Hey, good morning. It is Thursday, April 24th, 2025. It's been about a month since Caitlin and I embarked on our first leg of the journey in terms of hiking from Worcester to Providence. That day we covered unofficially, 12, 13 miles from Kelly Square, the Canal District, to South Grafton. It was a long day. But it was a lot of fun, and it was beautiful. Today is going to be another beautiful day, and we are hiking from South Grafton to Uxbridge. And we're just on our way now. We're basically dropping off cars at an end point and a start point. I thought I would just take this moment to kind of catch up and say hello while I'm in the car and I have some power. But also just talk a little bit about last time I was able to give a good kind of history overview of, the Canal District and Kelly Square and some of the businesses there and the canal itself, and some of the players. But once we get out of Worcester, I'm not a canal guru. I don't know the history of the Blackstone Canal and the Blackstone corridor, like the back of my hand. So, you saw a lot of pictures and just pictures. I think in hindsight, I'd go back and I would revisit and take a video and talk a little bit more about one of the little villages in Sutton that we saw that was super interesting, beautiful area. And then, I've been doing homework since, right? Going back and watching more videos about the history.
In a quarter mile, merge onto Oak Street.
Excuse me. And just learning a lot of fascinating stuff. And so this morning, as I'm driving from 146, leaving my car in Uxbridge at the towpath, driving through Northbridge, just seeing different parts of Central Mass, and
then turn left onto Cross Street.
This 146 corridor that is really the cradle of the American economy. It's where it was born, and it feels harsh to say it's forgotten about, but I guess growing up in Worcester, I don't want to say you had an attitude of better then, but these are just small mill towns that you didn't know much about.
Cross Street.
Or think much about, and it's been really interesting to kind of go back and learn the history, and you look at a town like Northbridge, and you look at all these huge old mansions there.
You will arrive at your destination.
And you're just like, wow, man, these are, like, clearly there was a ton of money in this area. So anyways, I don't know how much video we'll capture today, because I don't know how much, history lessons I can share, but I did just want to stop and start today with that. It's going to be a hot one today, mid 70s, if not closer to 80.
You have arrived.
I'm going to jump, and I will catch you soon. Thanks. All right, so video number 2 of the morning, where we left one car at the Stanley Woolen Mills in Uxbridge in the towpath parking lot behind it, and now we're driving up 122 to South Grafton to park the other car. It looks like about 9 miles hiking today. I wanted to record this video because I'd connected with the folks at the Blackstone Heritage Corridor about this. I lived in Cleveland for a little bit, and I used to run along the old. There was a canal in Akron, and I can't remember which canal it was. But I used to run along the towpath there, and they definitely like took care of it and maintained it. And I thought that this would be similar. I'd gotten the inspiration both from my friends that had started the Canal District, and then there's a journalist from Worcester, an old sports journalist named Bill Bayou, who he had actually hiked it and wrote about it, and I'd read it and thought it was pretty cool. So that was where I got the inspiration. What we found on day one is that, it was a mixture of different trails. It was, hiking through the streets of Worcester. There was some trails behind Holy Cross. There's a bike path that runs along 146. Then we were walking along 122 in Millbury. And then we were kind of bushwhacking and making our way through back roads in Millbury and Sutton and Grafton. Today, we're not, it's sort of the same, right? It feels a little like old world explorer, like in the sense of trying to figure out what's the best path to navigate. 122 is 122. It's like a, state highway. It's kind of, 2-lane road, pretty commercial, not super scenic. You have access to the towpath, or the canal rather, but I don't know, what kind of state that's in, and if we're just going to be bushwhacking through tall brush and thorns and prickers, and we did some of that the other day, and it definitely makes for a slow go of things. So we may start going the other side, which I think is, I don't know the name of the street, but I'm hopeful that's a little more scenic. There is a cutover from, I think it's called Quaker Road. So we'll just kind of feel it out. I'm grateful to my partner who's sitting here with me for, coming along for the ride and being willing to let me, take her on these crazy adventures. So anyways, just getting back into Northbridge now. We've got a couple minutes till we park and start hiking for day 2. So we're all parked right off 122A in South Grafton. We're starting at Mill River Park. I think that's what it's called. And we're just kind of checking out this, infographic talking about the canal and its timeline, 1828 to 1848. Caitlin just pointed out where, if you can see that right there at the cotton mills, somewhere near lock number 30. She's also talking about the wages that they were paid. Daily wage was 27.5 cents for your first year. Your second year, you got a raise to 35 cents. And if you were a boss, you were making 45 cents a day. This is actually really cool. This is a picture of basically where we're standing, although the mills across the street are gone. So this is if you can see through the trees there, not well, we'll head over that way. And I'm almost hesitant to show you because it's kind of grimy. The water's grimy. There's environmental cleanup stuff going on that doesn't really look like they're in any specific rush to clean up. There's a host of sun turtles just sitting chilling on one of these things. But yeah, this is the canal here, and there was mill buildings across the way that are gone. and definitely some big construction going on. Yeah, big old red-tailed hawk up there on the telephone pole. So yeah, Mill Villages Park, Farnhamsville, Fisherville, Saunderville. It's sort of funny that, I've never heard of these names until starting on this journey, but I think that was pretty important back in the day. Definitely a big part of Rhode Island life and culture is the different villages. And anyways, we're gonna get going. Yeah. All right, guys. So I don't know if I can zoom out of this, but pretty cool sign here on the side of the road in 122 in Grafton. Nice graphic, and looks like some good info as well. Just kind of talking about the Blackstone River Valley. Somehow it gives credit to Leicester. I don't really know how or why, but sure. Maybe the Blackstone starts somewhere up there. But yeah, Worcester, we did Worcester, Millbury, Grafton, and now we're, heading down into Northbridge. But right there at the very top, the Industrial Revolution began in the Blackstone River Valley. I mean, it is pretty crazy, and you don't really think of it, but the economy that we live in today wouldn't exist if all this hadn't happened between Worcester and Providence. And there's definitely a lot of pride in that, and I'm grateful to the people that taught me about it, and happy to try and share what I've learned and am learning along the way. So we still got a long ways to go.
Stop by the places with the question marks for more information.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, we're gonna get to Uxbridge today, but then we still got all that to go, and I was thinking we'd probably just end in Pawtucket. So cheers, keep moving. Here's some more info on the backside of this about Farnhamsville. Company town established to serve the various mills located here beginning in the early 1800s. Its layout and architecture reflect the choices of mill owners whose absolute power affected virtually every aspect of the town and the people who lived there. The smaller wooden tenements for workers and the spacious south side houses of the owners speak to the economic lines that separated labor from management. It's interesting, right? I've had a lot of pride in learning about this, and a lot of sort of confusion or mixed feelings as well, because this is where you see, this divergent economy, and workers and owners and all that sort of stuff go. Farnhamsville was designed for work, and most of its core economic and social institutions were controlled by the mill owner. Civic and religious organizations such as churches and a library were located outside the village center. The mill itself was the most powerful force in Farnhamsville, producing woolens, which used all wool fibers, and worsteds, which used only the longer fibers. Today, the Blackstone River still generates power here via turbine generator. When water is plentiful, the mill turbine generates enough power to fuel activities at the mill. When the river is low in the summer or frozen in the winter, power is harder to generate, a problem that plagued the mills in the last century as well. However, today the mill can turn to alternative sources of energy. Efforts to renovate the town's 19th century firehouse, which I just took a picture of, beautiful little firehouse, and other downtown areas are helping to restore the unified, close-knit feeling that predominated during Farnhamville's year as a mill village. That's super cool. And this is a very bad video of that, but good commentary, hopefully. All right, so we're I don't know, 3.5 miles in. We stopped a few times, like to read that sign, and stopped to sit and have a little snack. But we got off 122 and we're on some other road. I don't know what it is. I did know what it is, but it wasn't anything super notable. So the canal and the river are on our right, and through the trees you're sort of overseeing some mill and a lot of smoke, man. And I don't know if that's from them in production, or looks more like fire smoke than production smoke. But big, I think the canal kind of turns, or the river turns into ponds in different places, and I think that's one of those places down below. So we're gonna keep moving. We just stumbled on this accident scene. Poor young kid, 19 years old, died. I don't know when the accident was. We're not local enough to get that news anymore, but parents, man, scary. Rest in peace, man. All right, guys, haven't recorded a video in a minute. That's the river right there. Yes, Caitlin's pointing at the river. Really beautiful. Honestly, we've had such a beautiful day. The weather's gorgeous. You know, there's challenges to this park, and I'm fortunate to be chatting with the Heritage Corridor people, and you know, I think they're anxious to hear how this journey goes for us. You know me, I'm not shy on providing feedback. I mean, there's definitely challenges to this, but it's super cool too. You know, we've experienced such different terrain on both days, and even within those days there's different experiences. You know, at one point we're walking on 122, and yeah, it was Quaker Road, and it's just super loud, and cars are bombing, and there's no shoulder, and you just can't, you know, it's a little uncomfortable. And then I put in like Google Maps where our car's parked at Stanley Woolen Mills, and it took me down this side road that I wouldn't have known about and traversed, which took us into the Blackstone State Park, and we just hiked through this beautiful state park, beautiful trail, nobody out there at all, nobody whatsoever. And then we just connected with this, the towpath, which is sort of what I'd hoped and expected to encounter the whole way. But it's super cool, and I'm super proud. If you know, I was looking back at the video from the first day, and we stopped outside of Boland's bar and patio, and I didn't think to make a mention of it then, but it's just super significant. If you're Irish and you're from this area, it's super significant to your heritage. Like, the Irish dug this, and it was Tobias Boland who was like the chief builder, I want to say. Yeah, I just feel so proud and so grateful to kind of get to come and experience this in the way that we are. And we're finishing off today's journey. I don't know, we've got a mile-ish, more or less. We're going to be coming up to this farm that's over here on the right. And it's just a beautiful little area, and got the canal right here. So anyways, that's it for the moment.